We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching the DeliveringMore platform, morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to consume it. We appreciate it. Just go ahead and press that subscribe button down below. That's going to help out more than you can ever know. I have the newest guest today on the podcast. We have entrepreneur, barbecue shop owner, podcast host for the Digital Hospitality Podcast, Restaurant Influencers, and Own Their Phones with Matt Plapp. I have Shawn Walchef, CEO of Cali BBQ. Shawn, how are we doing today, sir?
What's going on, my man? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm usually we're usually a Friday record team, so doing it in the middle of the week, honestly, is I feel it's a good way to get over the hump a little bit. I'm ending my day doing this, so I feel like I'm wrapping up in a nice way to feel like I'm going to close out the week well.
Well, we're going to make all your listeners and watchers very uncomfortable and hopefully bring them some stories that can actually add value to their business. So let's get after it.
Of course, man. That's always the plan. I gave you a pretty nice intro there, I feel, but do you want to intro yourself to the viewers at all any further? Anything else to include?
Yeah, I mean, So my name's Shawn Walchef. We own Cali BBQ and Cali BBQ Media in San Diego. We've been in business since 2008, single unit barbecue shop for 13 years until we expanded to 2 ghost kitchens, just opened up 2 stadium locations. We're building the Amazon of barbecue because we think that people can't discriminate. Restaurant owners can no longer discriminate how people get their food. Before, it was build a great brand, build incredible barbecue, get people from all over San Diego County to drive 45 minutes, wait an hour in line on an NFL Sunday to get brisket. And that model just doesn't work anymore. So what we're trying to do is get more barbecue to more people, and that's slow food fast. So how do we leverage technology? We're a media company, so we have tech partners. I interview the CEO of Toast, Chris Comparato. They're the title sponsor of Restaurant Influencers with Entrepreneur Magazine. All that we do every single day is trying to figure out how do we get more barbecue to more people, but more importantly, how do we share those lessons online through TikTok, through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through podcasts, through video content, so that we can make a bigger impact on the industry and develop relationships with food entrepreneurs all over the globe.
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely amazing what you guys are doing out there with the Cali BBQ brand and Cali BBQ Media. I do want to get a little backstory on you a little bit more, though, if we could, if you don't mind. San Diego, born and raised, I believe?
I was born in Denver. I moved when I was 6 months old. So I never met my dad. My grandfather raised me. He was a Bulgarian immigrant, and he taught me how to stay curious, how to get involved, and how to ask for help. You know, I started working in restaurants when I was 13, bussing tables, washing dishes, and I hated it. Honestly, I really didn't like it. I thought I would never be in the restaurant business. I studied sociology in college because I love people. I love seeing how people interact. And, you know, eventually that led me and one of my best friends from college opening up a breakfast concept, turning it into a sports bar, a sports entertainment destination, and then eventually turning that into a barbecue brand. And now we are 15 years later, a barbecue media company. We've done over $30 million in sales and probably one of the most difficult locations in the entire world. Forget about just United States or San Diego. And we did it on the backs of the internet. You know, if it wasn't for the internet, if it wasn't for the iPhone, if it wasn't for all these digital media apps, social media apps, and storytelling, we wouldn't be here having this conversation with you. And that's really what we try to encourage other restaurant owners, other hospitality professionals, sales professionals, is understanding all the answers to all of your goals. They're in your pocket. Literally, they're in your pocket. If you're willing to join these digital playgrounds, audio, video, words, and images, talk about who you are, talk about your goals, talk about your partners, and publish that content, all of a sudden you can start to have incredible conversations and start to do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, and then Nate, we're gonna clip that. That's gonna be clip number 1 there, folks. That was beautiful. Well said. Back to San Diego, though, I was browsing, kind of perusing, getting ready for this conversation. The San Diego, now Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes.
Justin Herbert.
Unapologetic Charger fans.
Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Got the defense, Khalil Mack. What's the safety's name?
Derwin James.
Derwin James just signed a nice contract. Yep. What we got a projection? I mean, obviously the end goal is always the Super Bowl, but we're in that. What the
so
AFC?
Where are you from? What city are you from?
I'm Canton, Ohio. So I'm a lifelong.
Okay,
Brownie.
you got the Hall of Fame. We're down with the
Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yep, 45.
You always win in the Hall of Fame, right?
Hey, I wish people said that about Canton, Ohio. I wish they said that.
Well, I've been to Canton many times because of the Pro Football Ultimate Fan Association, which I'm a part of because of the Chargers. But yeah, no, everything that we do, there's a sports component to it. I grew up playing sports. We give back to local youth sports. We've been fortunate to cater for the Chargers when they were here in San Diego, cater for them as the Los Angeles Chargers. I've received checks from the Chargers for catering. We're in the San Diego Aztec Stadium, which is Snapdragon Stadium, which is where the Chargers used to play. We've played in different stadiums and arenas, and eventually we'd love to have our barbecue in SoFi Stadium. So anybody that's on the Levy team or the SoFi team, we're ready. Come hit us up.
Yeah, hell yeah. Put it out there. Always ready to put it out there. And you did kind of lead me into one of my early on questions I always like to ask, which is just your earliest involvement in the restaurant industry, usually being that the people who stick around here the longest are usually kind of the most twisted, sickest individuals. You mentioned you started out as a dishwasher or a busboy and you didn't really enjoy it. So how'd you find your way back into becoming a restaurateur?
I mean, I think so much of it has to do with my fascination with memorable moments and hospitality. And those memorable moments in hospitality, the intersections typically food, food and drink. And when you combine food, drink, sports, and entertainment, the perfect vehicle for that is really a restaurant, within the four walls. But then once you start to focus on the craft and you start to focus on what we call digital hospitality, this new playground that's been around since the evolution of the smartphone, is there is so many things that are happening on our devices. And if you think about it and you simplify it, it's communication, it's content, and it's commerce. And when you're talking about food, how do you intersect food with all three of those things? You do that by being omni-channel, by being present on Yelp, by being present on Google, by being on TikTok, by being on Instagram. You do it through content, through storytelling. And then more importantly is, how do you sell something? So if you sell something and you make it easy, you make it Amazon, which we're trying to become the Amazon of barbecue. We're leveraging our technology partners like Toast, like Ovation, like Marquee, like Yelp. All of these partners, we're leaning on their teams and their engineers to build us the product that we want so that people can go, oh shit, I'm at the Little League field. I don't want to have to drive half an hour to get to Cali Barbecue in Spring Valley. I'm just going to order brisket. How long does it take to make brisket? 12 to 14 hours to smoke a brisket? Well, if I order it and somebody delivers it to the Little League field, that's an oh shit moment where it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And our job is to try to figure out, how do we create more oh shit moments through food and through barbecue.
Amazing. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And kind of getting into the Cali barbecue world now, you're coming up, I believe, in April, if my dates are correct, on the 15-year anniversary of your first location. So amazing. Congrats on that. Over the years, Small Business of the Year in 2016, Best Brunch and Best Sports Bar Awards, and also the Slow Smoked Pulled Pork Sandwich winning the top 5 in the San Diego Union Tribune at one time. What were your earliest goals with Cali Barbecue, and is what you're doing now? Did you ever have any kind of dream of this being what was going to be happening?
I would be lying if I said that I didn't think of something bigger. I never got into the business in 2008 to open up a single unit barbecue restaurant in Spring Valley, nor was it a sports bar. It was always something bigger. How do we do what we do? Learn how to do it. Because if we had opened up that restaurant in a better location, they tell you location, location, location. And had we been in Gaslamp or La Jolla or Pacific Beach, one of the top tourist destinations in San Diego, I don't think we would have learned all the things that we had to learn with digital marketing, with social media marketing, how to create our own story, how to leverage our own press, how to get local press. All of those things came out of just sheer necessity. We were failing. I couldn't get anybody to come into our restaurant. Once we started figuring out that we had to tell our own story, that no one was coming to write our own story, no one was coming with cameras to show off our restaurant, didn't matter how great our barbecue was, how great our hospitality was, how great our community service was, involvement was, no one was coming to tell our story unless we got better at telling our own story. And once that happened, once we started committing to the smartphone, to content, to social media, to Facebook, to Instagram, all of a sudden things started to change because we started getting better. The photos that we took in the beginning were shitty. Then they got better. The videos were bad. The videos started getting better. And they're still in this evolutionary process where if I go back to the first podcast that I did in 2017, Behind the Smoke, and I listened to it. It's cringeworthy. I mean, it's absolutely cringeworthy to think now I have a show with Entrepreneur Magazine. Literally, we have a show that's reached 8 million people since we launched in January. So 250,000 people are listening to our show, consuming our content on a weekly basis. I have Chef Robert Irvine of Restaurant Impossible. His PR team's reaching out to us. Applebee's CEO, their director of communications, reaching out to us to be on our show. And this is all from just a barbecue restaurant in Spring Valley in a bad location. But it was all those skills that we learned along the way, all the reps that we put in, that has put us in a position where now we actually, can do something really cool with it.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. And you keep mentioning this the Spring Valley location, and you did mention early on. I wanted to congratulate your team as well for the Snapdragon Stadium location, formerly known as Aztec Stadium. San Diego State, I believe, is that who plays there now?
Yep. That's
Okay,
correct. Yeah.
perfect. And just kind of getting along the locations, I know you mentioned initially you were criticized for putting the first location in a poor spot. People didn't think it was going to do well. You kind of mentioned it wasn't really doing well until you guys accessed the media aspect of everything. But you're still only, I believe, at 3 or 4 locations, brick and mortar total. You got into a little bit of a ghost kitchen space, I believe, here throughout this year.
Yep.
But has that been voluntary, or have you specifically not become more of a development in the brick and mortar side?
So it's interesting because before the pandemic, until the pandemic hit, there's always the people that talk about we pivoted in the pandemic. We didn't pivot in the pandemic. We went all in. We went all in on the internet. We went all in on our thesis that the world has changed. People want their food when they want their food. DoorDash works because it's easy for families. I have I have a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And sometimes we're busy. We're out at the playground. We don't get back in time. And there's not enough time to cook a fresh meal at home. So we order on DoorDash or we order on Uber Eats. And guess what? We get food. It comes delivered from a local restaurant, comes straight to our house. That's fantastic for our lifestyle. And for us as restaurant owners, we have to start to think differently. I'm no longer want to have a 5,000 square foot restaurant and replicate that as a cookie cutter model the same way that Applebee's did, or the same way that any corporate chain built out. What I want to do is I want to figure out ways to distribute more barbecue, to be more efficient, to take care of my people at my master smokehouse. So we're literally removing seats in our restaurant. We have 250 seats in our restaurant. We're removing 150 and we're adding smokers. We're adding smokers so that we can add more distribution, technically brick and mortar locations. But when we have learned that we can operate out of a 200 square foot ghost kitchen in a cloud kitchen location, now we can pretty much operate anywhere. We can operate in a stadium environment, an airport environment, a brewery environment. We can operate on an Air Force base, a military base, a Navy base, a hospital. There's so much more flexibility that we have with our food because of our willingness to lean into delivery, to lean into an on-demand generation, and to lean into technology, to leverage technology so that people can enjoy barbecue on their terms.
And I imagine the scalability of this kind of process, is that seeing, a great upward trend on your end? Are you seeing that the demand and everything is that just exponentially increased since you've kind of gone to this new avenue?
Well, the beautiful thing is that when you have technology partners, they have an incredible thing called data.
Yeah.
And if you ask them for data, some of them are unwilling to provide it, but the best ones will provide it. And the best ones will tell us where, not exactly geographically, but within the right zip codes of where people are searching for barbecue. That helps us with location. That helps us think differently than the traditional real estate broker is going to tell us where we should open up a location. We're looking at different spaces. So it's not a typical restaurant space that we're looking at. And we know that once we have this profitable model here in San Diego, we can replicate this model anywhere, literally anywhere on earth. And because of content, because of storytelling, we can share the successes that we have, the failures that we have. And by doing that, I have people that are reaching out from Australia to Saudi Arabia to Africa, different regions that are consuming the content, finding the content and going, hey, we have an idea. This is what we're trying to do. And it's not that we have all the answers. It's just we're willing to show our work. We're willing to build in public.
And then obviously, so the content side of things, as we get into Cali barbecue media over the past couple years, And you already mentioned very early on, as a business, you guys were struggling until you found out that it had to be you telling your own story, and you had to broadcast that yourself and get that to the people and familiarize them with your own brand. Was there any like epiphany moment, or were you like in the back office going over a P&L like, hey, something's got to change, then like it just snapped and you're like, hey, media, this is what it's going to be moving forward? Or was it like a gradual, hey, we started this, it was slow burn, then we kind of are where we are now?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's a great question because they're all micro moments. They're all micro moments on these digital playgrounds where we had oh shit moments where it's like, this is something that we should know how to do. And the more that we know how to do it and the more that we can do it ourselves, the better. So in the beginning, we were a sports bar that was built on the biggest fights. So UFC fight,
Yeah.
boxing, we would have to pay a licensing fee, charge a cover for people to come and watch the fight. But because there was such an expensive cover, not many locations in San Diego would show the fight. So, Canelo fighting Triple G, we're not showing that now because we have a different model. But in the past, back in 2010, when I'm showing the fights, I was relying on a third-party website developer to update our website with that fight night information. And why did I need that done? I need that done because anyone that was on the internet saying, where do I watch boxing in San Diego? We needed to come up as one of the top search results. And what I found by emailing that third-party website developer was that it took too much time for me to give him information, for him to publish that information 2 days later. If the information wasn't what I wanted, then I had to email him again. By that time, I'm losing search results. It was at that time where I was like, well, we need to own our own website. We need to be on a different website platform. And I reached out to a friend who was very good at what he did. And he literally taught me how to publish on WordPress, put us on our own WordPress platform. And from there, that was one of the many oh shit moments. We had those moments on Twitter where I developed relationships with people in sports media where they were looking, hey, I'm looking to go watch the fight. Where should we go watch the fight? Well, I own a restaurant. I'm paying for the fight. Why don't you guys come and watch the fight, a VIP on us? So I invite Jeff Dotseth and Jim Trotter to come to our restaurant. Now they became friends. Why? Because I was on Twitter, because I was listening to sports radio. They said something that was relevant to me. I answered the question. I invited them through Twitter, and now they're two of my closest friends. And that's all because of technology. That's all because we were willing to be on these digital playgrounds that most people ignore. But once you lean into them, you realize the world is a lot closer connected than we think it is. And the people that are movers and shakers, the people that we want to swim with, the people we want to fly with, they're on those platforms and dominating.
Yeah, it's always nice, obviously, to hear the good that social media can do as opposed to the negatives you're always hearing. I mean,
Yeah, there's plenty about the bad of social media, but
yeah,
we tend to believe differently.
yeah, it's unbelievable. And I did obviously, so the content side of things now, you're developing, like you have multiple podcasts, you're doing back end videos for Cali barbecue. You have your TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. For me, I just kind of came into this content creation role or marketing role right at the beginning of this year, January 2022. My title changed, my role changed in the company, all that good stuff. So I've kind of been on a mission to find like-minded people, similar interests, who are doing things with their business that I really want to see deliver that do moving forward. So a
Yeah.
big thing for me, and Nate sitting over here will probably give me a head nod after I say this, but we have weekly meetings where a lot of times, it's we're banging our head against the wall for content creation ideas, for idea generation, just in total, trying to think of things that people haven't done before. What do people want to see? What do people want to hear? Do you have a base for what you do or how you go about creating your own content, or where you start from?
Yeah, it's a simple principle that actually one of my guests, the reason why I love podcasting is so much of what we learn and teach is something that was taught to me through a conversation that I had on a podcast. And I had Eric Schellenberger, who does bar and restaurant marketing. I had him on the show, and he told me that one of the pieces of advice for content creation was to be the show, not the commercial. Be the show, not the commercial. The problem that every business has, not just restaurants, but B2B businesses too, is how do you create content that isn't commercial? Everyone wants to have a sexy photo, a sexy video that puts their best foot forward. This is website video. That's not what the internet wants. The internet wants to know who's working behind the scenes and what are you working on? What are your struggles? What are your pain points? Be the show, document the show, as Gary Vee always talks about. Document versus create. When you're creating, you run into these challenges that everyone has is, well, I want to be a content creator. Well, you're in business. The beautiful thing about what this intersection of everything that I do on a daily basis and why I love what I'm doing, I get to go to Toronto and speak to 200 restaurant executives, people that own multiple restaurant units, multiple restaurant chains, leaders in Toronto, and I'm giving a keynote about the restaurant creator economy. The restaurant creator economy, content creators, people on TikTok, people on Instagram, people on YouTube, they are literally content creators. They're looking to become a business. Business owners are already in business. They're struggling to figure out how to create content. The content is already there.
Right.
The content is you guys brainstorming. Like, that's the content. The fact that you guys are podcasting, the fact that you're on TikTok is, you're 99% different than all the other businesses. And I'm talking about tech businesses. I talk to them all the time. You know how many uncomfortable conversations I have with tech CEOs about why they're not on TikTok? And everyone's got, well, that's somebody else's job. And then I talk to the marketing person, and the marketing person's like, we're overextended. We can't do it. It all comes down to, are you willing to do what other people are unwilling to do? The answer is simple. You don't have to make TikTok. It's already there. It's short form video. You make short form video, you use it for YouTube Shorts. Does that mean that's what it's going to be in 2024? No. But that's what it is now. You clip it up, you use it. I mean, I can't tell you how many people know that I podcast who have never listened to anything on Apple Podcasts, never listened on Spotify, but they see my Instagram stories and they see that I've interviewed, the CEO of Toast. They go, oh my gosh, so you podcast. Now they know that I'm a podcaster. And that leads to business, a year from now, because they're, putting on a conference and they want to have, all of a sudden, whatever company they are, they realize they need to become a media company. If a barbecue restaurant can become a media company, then why can't we? I mean, I have these same conversations with legacy media, with people from radio in San Diego, with people from TV in San Diego, with people in magazines. They go, how are you doing that? I'm like, we're just doing what other people are unwilling to do.
It honestly makes a ton of sense. And be the show, not the commercial. Might have to get a poster or something made of that. Posted
There you go.
right
That's
up here in
it.
the background.
That's the one.
Always keep it on the mind. Be the show, not the commercial.
And lean into your crazy.
Lean into the crazy. I like that. I did
Lean
like
into
too
your
how you
crazy,
said
because most people aren't going to post. Most sports bar owners, well, some sports bar owners, but most of the sports bar owners are going to take the safe route and say that we no longer cheer for the Chargers because they're in Los Angeles, and that's a bad thing to do in San Diego.
right.
Well, for me, I literally was on the Save Our Bolts committee. I worked with the city, I worked with the mayor, I worked with the Chargers organization to try to get a stadium built downtown. We failed. That initiative didn't pass, but I still cheer for the team. I still post about the team. My kids go for the team. Lean into your crazy. That's the best advice I can give you.
And you mentioned, obviously too, you said like the brainstorming session, you're brainstorming about creating content, but you're literally, that like is the content. You should show the backroom
Yes.
procedures, the
Yes.
conversations that are happening off screen are the ones that like the people actually want to see. Do you yourself, I know like Gary Vee, obviously the idea situation is you have a camera guy on you at all times. You have a back-end marketing team. They're going through that film. They're clipping it up daily, sending them out.
Yep.
Omni-platform content. It's going to YouTube. It's going to Instagram stories, YouTube Reels, all that good stuff. What does that look like on your end? Is that what you're doing actively on your end? Do you have a camera on you at all times? Do you have someone following you day to day, month to month, things like that?
So we've expanded. Now I've got about 6 people on our media team, from Stover, who produces all of our podcasts, who does all of the written content. I've got a writer. I have a media team that for any of my speeches that I give, we go out, and thankfully those are sponsored now. But as far as the advice that I have to anybody starting out, and that's companies included, is why we call it smartphone storytelling. We have everything that we need in our pocket. We have the camera app. And that's the biggest unlock that there is that you don't need to pay for a professional media team to produce the content. You just need to be willing to publish shitty content. If you're willing to publish shitty content, then you can realize, well, tomorrow I'm going to do a better job editing. Tomorrow I'm going to do a hook in the video that's going to bring people in. Tomorrow I'm going to download an app that costs me 99 cents a month that's going to add captions and emojis. That's going to make my video stand out. Tomorrow, the day after that, I'm going to publish it on YouTube Shorts as well as TikTok. Then I'm going to do Instagram Reels. It's all this testing, but it's a willingness. If you're willing to check your email every day, you better be willing to post a short form video every day. That's where we are. We're in 2022, going into 2023, short form video, less than 60 seconds, less than 15 seconds is ideal, but clip it up and learn how to get better at it, because that is showing versus telling. Now you're showing off who you are. You're talking about who you are. You're talking about the things that you care about, the business partners that you have, the relationships that you have, the events that you attend. That's the magic.
That is the magic. And obviously, we're talking about kind of the video creation for all these platforms, but you also do some live streaming work on your end. You're active, much more active than most people I've seen on Clubhouse. Obviously, I'm popping in on TikTok every now and then. You're in the back room of Cali Barbecue showing the briskets getting thrown in, all that good stuff. I love that content, but all that being said, are you looking at each platform as its own entity in regards to creating content for those specifically? Or are you doing something like, I think Sweet Baby Ray's, you had Deuce, was that his name?
Yep.
He
Yep,
said
Deuce
something
Raymond.
I found super interesting in one of your videos, talking about how he basically at the beginning of the week takes 1 hour long process, whether it's them seasoning the brisket or whatever, what have you, putting the barbecue sauce on, cooking it, and they take that hour clip, that hour video, clip it up into their content for the week, and then process it and put it out. Do you do something similar to that? Are you making omni-platform content? Are you focusing each strategy on one singular platform at a time?
It's a good question, and we don't have a science to it. It's definitely more of an art. It's definitely more of I have at Shawn P Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. Those are my handles. That's the content that I will post myself. I will caption myself. I will be on myself. I will do content live, like you said, TikTok live. We have at Cali Barbecue, which is the barbecue brand. I have Samuel that runs our Instagram account and our TikTok account. I literally hired him, and his initiative was 1 video per day per platform. So I want 1 short form reel per day on Instagram. I want 1 video on TikTok. Now he's posting content on Yelp Connect. He's posting content on Google Maps. So those are expanded roles for what he's doing. And then we have Cali Barbecue Media, which Toby on my media team will take clips from our long form content from restaurant influencers and digital hospitality, and he will post those using a video editor offsite, in the Philippines, a company that we use that clips up that video, but he posts that video for the actual show. So for both of our shows, that's how that content gets made. But back to your question, is there a strategy behind it? No, the strategy is to be as on many platforms as possible and to repurpose as much content as possible and to have conversations. The reason why I love Clubhouse is that all of the things that we do, we have conversations with other restaurant owners, marketers, sales professionals, people in the hospitality space about what's working and what's not working. So literally in those mini mastermind groups, we can dissect and say, hey, this is working or this isn't working, and then we can try it out. So we host 2 Clubhouse calls, which is a social audio app. We're going to be doing LinkedIn audio too. And those are based off of a hunch. Like right now, I believe in TikTok Live, which is why I've been live streaming a lot on TikTok Live. It's getting me a lot of new followers, a lot of new engagement. And I can see that TikTok Live is the social selling. It is the place where eventually, when we do build this Amazon of barbecue and we do build this media center, I will have live streams on our smokers at all times. And somebody could go on to that live stream and say, hey, Shawn, I want that rack of ribs. And that rack of ribs will get wrapped with your name on it. And then we'll package it up and we'll sell it on Goldbelly, and you'll get it. And then you'll do an unboxing video, because that's where the world will be. And that's what we're trying to build to.
That's an amazing amount of forward thinking too, honestly, just always trying to be a step ahead and really utilizing the platforms in ways that other people just don't even see yet or imagine. I think even when we talked about your initial ideas for what Cali barbecue would become, you mentioned, you know, what it is now, you might have had dreams bigger than that. Do you think, have you always been like a grandiose, like big picture person? Has that always been in something in your personality?
Yeah, I like I said, I never met my father. My grandfather raised me. He was born on a village in Bulgaria. He was born to be a farm boy, and he created this incredible life. He became a medical doctor in World War II. He developed real estate property, and he built this incredible life based off of relentless curiosity. He was never too smart. He was always the smartest person in the room, but he was never too smart to ask anyone a question. It didn't matter their status, it didn't matter their job title. He would ask anyone and everyone for knowledge. And by asking people for knowledge, he got the insights on things that most people never get access to. So stay curious, get involved, ask for help. Those are the things I say on every show, on every clubhouse, because those are the things my grandfather taught me. Stay curious. People that are listening to this show, you don't listen to a podcast unless you want to level up, unless you want to be better. But then you have to do something with the information. You can't just nod your head and say, Shawn, that's great. Like, you guys actually have to do the work. Once you do the work, then you learn from the work. And then finally you realize you have to be humble enough to ask for help. And that's the cool thing about what we call digital hospitality is the more that you speak your voice and you speak your truth and you share your vulnerabilities, the more you ask for people want to help. But if you don't tell them you need help, if
Right.
you don't tell them you're trying to do something, no one's going to help you. And the more that you have these conversations on TikTok, on podcasts, on blog, through your email, through Instagram, the more that you're having an open conversation, you're being a show. You're not being a commercial saying bye, 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 bye. You're telling them this is who we are. This is what we're building. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean we have it all figured out. But this is what's happening. We're showing you what's happening.
Yeah. Be the show, not the commercial. Be the show, not the commercial. I'm going to repeat it to myself a million times tonight before I go to bed. Shawn, I appreciate your time today, man. I did just want to close it out with one final question. And you kind of started to touch on it a little bit previously in regards to some advice. Anyone who would be looking to become a content creator or a media personality or a restaurant owner who they're behind the eight ball. They don't have a Twitter, an Instagram, a TikTok. They've never even delved into the realm of YouTube. They're not making long form anything. They're overwhelmed. They hear these stories from you, from Plap, about make your own story, create your own content. What's a starting point for them? If you're them day one, a restaurant owner, you need to get your brand out there, tell your story. Day one, what would you do? What would you tell them?
It's a secret, and it's a secret that I figured out. It's no one's coming. Think about that. No one's coming. No one's coming to tell your story. We all truly believe that we're going to be found, that we're going to build a great business, and someone's going to put us on. They're going to put us on whatever show you want to be on. I mean, literally just once Stadium opened, Snapdragon Stadium, a week ago, the cover of the sports section, the newspaper, back in the day, I used to read the newspaper every single day, sports section first. Cali Barbecue was on the cover of the sports section for our location opening up in the stadium. Like, that is such a huge deal for us symbolically. Does it mean that, the Union Tribune's distribution of 200,000 people, does that mean how many people saw it? It's the only reason we care about it is because I made a TikTok video about it. I made an Instagram reel about it. I made a YouTube video. I'm talking to you about it. More people will consume the fact that we made the cover of the sports section than actually saw the sports section. And that's all because of storytelling. But I wouldn't know how to do that unless I made a bunch of mistakes before that. So no one's coming to tell your story, and no one's going to tell your story better than you. Like, you got into business. You got to where you got because of who you are, your gifts, your potential, what you're trying to build. If you don't own that, if you don't practice getting better at telling that, at being memorable, your elevator pitch, it's an elevator pitch for a reason. How many times have you gone to a party and you met one person where you're like, holy shit, I can't stop thinking about that one person, that conversation. Can you believe the shit that they're doing? This guy's a barbecue media guy. Who the hell does he think he is? He's crazy. But nonetheless, they're thinking about it. And then they go to a different circle or a different trade show, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, have you heard about this barbecue? It's like, fuck, I just heard about this guy. I don't want, like, you're like, what are they doing? Are you willing to do what other people are unwilling to do? And the answer is easy. Don't make it complicated. Just start. Start today. Post today. Post a selfie video today on TikTok. You want to get uncomfortable? Post a selfie video today on TikTok, and then do it again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that.
Yeah, you better hope they got a ring light, because I know that lighting and it does not look great sometimes with those selfie videos.
That's totally fine. Don't prevent it. Be the show, not the commercial.
Oh man. All right, Shawn. Well, man, I appreciate it again. Obviously, working on the time difference here, all the way out in San Diego. I can't speak to it enough. I really appreciate you joining me today, and hopefully we'll be seeing each other soon. Cali Barbecue Media. Where could the people find socials for you, Cali Barbecue, your podcast, anything of that nature?
Super easy. If you just follow me at Shawn P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. That's on TikTok, that's on LinkedIn, that's on Twitter, that's on Instagram. Or you can just go to calibbq.media. We believe so much in media that we named our URL. So it's calibbq.media. You can go listen to our podcast. We also have a show on entrepreneur.com called Restaurant Influencers. So if you're listening to this, hopefully one day I'll be interviewing you for entrepreneur.com, and you can be one of our featured guests. So please check that out.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
We'll see you at the Master Smokehouse in San Diego for a TikTok selfie video on top of the roof.
I can't. Hey, I'll be there. I'm buying the ticket now.
All right. Boom.